Hello everyone and welcome to this week's watch list preview. I ran some scans for inside bars for the weekly chart. I came up with quite a few, but these are the ones that kind of stood out. There were a couple of others that didn't look bad either. I just thought these were the best that I could find. And I don't want to have a watch list with 10 or 15 different tickers on it. It just gets overwhelming trying to keep track of all of them. But this is what I found that I liked. JD to the upside, DOCU, either direction, Dash to the downside, Netflix to the downside. So let's take a look and see what they look like. JD, we have JD here. If we take a look at the yearly, we're kind of forming a spinning top on a year. Likely going to close close to a spinning top on a year. On the quarter doesn't look too bad. It looks like it tried to bounce. I don't want to say it doesn't look too bad. It's green. It's a 2 up, but it has pulled back quite a bit recently. On the month doesn't look great. It's a 2 down. It has bounced just recently. If you look at we'll go to the weekly chart here in a second. But if you look at the broadening formation, which I drew off the weekly chart, you can see I drew it off of the bottom of this candle and the bottom of this candle. We came down and almost touched that broadening formation on the bottom. We had a nice green inside candle. So we're going to see if this thing can break to the upside. It could possibly break to the downside, but I don't like the risk reward. I shouldn't say the risk reward. I don't like the magnitude here. There's not much magnitude. Now it may come all the way down to here if it breaks the low side, but being it's a green candle coming off the bottom broadening formation, I say it's more likely to bounce to the upside. So I'm looking for a break above 81.08, which is the high of this inside candle. If we come down to the daily chart, we'll pick up some targets here. Nice gap here. We have a nice gap. It's a little over $1. I shouldn't say nice, but it's a little over $1 gap to fill this on the daily chart. Once we fill that, we have a pretty nice size run up to 87.33 for target 2. Target 3 is going to be 88.22. And target 4 is going to be 88.92. Now we could go further. We could go target 5 up here at 89.35. Target 6 here. Target 7 here. Just keep those in mind. I don't foresee us going that high, but it could. So next will be DOCU. DOCU is one of those ones that could have went either way. Just take a look at the year. Not looking good on the year. The year actually looks pretty ugly. It's still a 2 up, but it's trying to form a shooting star. It's not technically going to be a shooting star because the size of the length of the wick isn't long enough compared to the body. Because we're down here right now. This was the open. We're down here. If we come back up, now the tail is going to be too long to be a shooting star. But you get the point. The psychology is still similar. It's just not as strong. So the year doesn't look too good. The quarter definitely doesn't look good. The month doesn't look good at all. Month looks pretty nasty. The week, we had a green candle. The week doesn't look good. I most likely would probably see this going to the downside, but I did post triggers and targets to the upside just in case. And the reason why is because it bounced off the bottom. I shouldn't say it bounced. It's sitting on the bottom of the broadening formation. That broadening formation goes from here to here, and we came down to it. So if the bulls want to come in and push it back up off the bottom of the broadening formation, we'll have an entry in targets. So to the upside, we're looking at a break of 163.77. And then we'll come down to the daily, and we had a huge gap all the way up here, and that's another reason why I put this in here. This is a $60 gap. If you drop down to the lower time frames, that gap is still there. So there's not going to be too much, other than mental resistance, there's not going to be much resistance in here. If you take a look at the 4 hour, gap still there. 2 hour, gap still there. 60-minute, if it'll go back that far, gap still there. No matter what time frame you go on, the gap's still there. That was an overnight change, so overnight gap. So there's not going to 5-minute time frame is not going to close that gap. They're not going to eliminate that gap. So go back to the weekly. We're looking for a break above 163.77. And on the daily, we have this gap all the way up to here, $60, $64 gap fill. And if you look at the downside, we're looking for a break below 132.98. And targets on the daily for the downside, we don't really have any. We can't go back that far. Just see where it goes. Use moving averages or broadening formations to watch for, or lower time frame reversals, maybe a 60-minute or 2 hour, something like that. So that's what I have for DOCU. Dash, we have on the year. Dash, we don't have much history on it, but the year's not looking very pretty. It's forming a shooter, trying to form a shooter on the year. On the quarter is very nasty. Really ugly candle on a quarter. On the month, we had a shooter here on the month, followed by another big red candle. Nothing looks good on this chart. On the year or on the week, we have an inside candle that tried to push up, got about halfway through the previous week's candle, and then it failed. So we're looking for a break to the downside. That entry would be 155.39. Now, if you look at targets, it gets a little bit tricky on this one. 155.39. Target 1 is 154.38, which is only $1 move. But remember, I said before, the targets, when I put targets into that tight, a lot of times you can use that as a stop, kind of like a zone to put a stop in. And that's why I put those there. Otherwise, I'd say if I'm in this trade, I'm probably not taking profits at target 1. Now, target 2, we have to come way back here. Target 2. Target 2 is, let's see, this one here is target. This one actually coincides with the other target we had. Is there a gap there? 154.38. 150. Yeah, there's a 3-cent gap right there. So there would be a gap to fill. So on this one, what's the low on this one? 145.04. No, there's no gap on this one. Target 2 is going to be the low of this candle. Target 3 is the low of this candle. Target 4 is the low of this candle. So we're looking at 154.38, 145.04, 136.12, and 134.12. Those will be our targets on Dash. And Netflix. Netflix has been pretty nasty lately. Kind of a spinning topish we're trying to form here. On the year, on the quarter, we're trying to form a shooter on the quarter. A good chance we'll probably end up with that shooter. And then on the month, we had a 2 up, but it was red, followed by a 2 down. Still hasn't quite hit magnitude yet. Magnitude would be 594.68, and actually it did hit magnitude. I guess it is. It doesn't look like it, but it is. So it did hit magnitude, but that doesn't mean it's going to stop. We're still quite a ways from the 90 or SMA. On the week, we're showing it's kind of similar to Dash, inside week, but it got just about to the halfway point of the previous week's candle, and then the Bears came back in and pushed it right back down. So I'm looking for a break to the bottom, to the low side. If you see these markings here, I had this marked for 2 up on a red month, 2 up with the red month, and we've already met. We already triggered and hit targets 1 and 2. So ignore these, but I don't want to delete them yet because I have to do a review on this later on at the end of the month. So just ignore these lines from here up for now. So your entry is going to be 601. You break the bottom of the inside candle. Target 1 is going to be low the previous week's candle of 594. Target 2 is going to be, let's see where I'm at here. The low of this candle here at 588.01. Target 3 is going to be the low of this candle at 580.16. Target 4 is going to be the low of this candle at 576.93. That's all the further down I went with targets, but you could even come down to here to the low of this candle here. Well, this one technically 569.37, and then this pivot here of 568.08. So you could come down and catch some targets here too, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. If it gets that low, I'm probably going to be out before that. So that's all I have for this week's video. JD, DOCU, either direction, Dash, and Netflix. So thanks for watching, and hope you guys kill it this week. And let me know in the comments, like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments if you took any of these trades and if it worked out for you. Thanks again. Bye.